Chapter 11 Zeta Halo, December 24th, 2559, Day 13. Spartan Horvath sat on the hillside, staring at the smoke curling up from the basin, his helmet resting in the grass beside him. Gorian, as he'd come to know the brute's name, must have caught a couple of snakes or birds to tide him over and started up a campfire. It had taken 2 days, but together they'd finally succeeded in leveraging the starboard side of the Phantom, about 12 centimeters out of the mud with a couple substructure beams gathered from the edge of the island. It was enough to start digging around the Sentinel. Dead tired and needing a break from the constant vigil of watching his back, Horvath had hiked out of the wetlands and high into the hills. From this vantage point, the view stretched clear to the edge of the island and out into space, where only a few pinpricks of starlight flickered in the blackness. There wasn't much out there, which worried him more than he'd care to admit. He'd made this hike a few times now, sitting on the hill and wondering just how isolated they were in the galaxy. As far as Christmas Eves went, this wasn't the worst one he'd spent, though it might just be the loneliest. Plus, he was pretty sure Gorian hadn't even gotten him a gift. Horvath scratched his growing beard as memories of Fireteam Intrepid filled his mind, sitting in the lounge on S-Deck with the team, toasting the holiday, talking shit, making stupid bets, planning their next prank. They were chaos makers on and off the job, and he'd loved every minute of it. Unsettled, he donned his helmet and headed down the hillside. Might as well see how much he could poke the brute and liven up the holiday. Gorian sat on an empty supply crate in front of the fire, his massive black shoulders slumped forward. A large plucked bird hung over the flames, suspended from a limb balanced on 2 tripods, while a couple thorned snakeheads and skins lay at the edge of camp. Horvath kicked one aside as he entered the area and sat across the fire. The brute picked a snake bone from his dirty mouth, tossed it over his shoulder, and then pulled the bird from its pole to sink his fangs into one of the wings, the crunch of bone and meat drifting across camp. "As soon as we're off this fragment," he grumbled between chews, "I will enjoy killing you." A line Gorian repeated frequently. "Keep talking like that and I might start thinking you like me. Why don't you take that helmet off or eat anything?" "Who says I don't?" The Jiralhanai grunted, eyes narrowing as he paused in his feast to hold a hand out, palm up. The leathery expanse flexed, the fingers curling into a tight fist as he intoned, "Atriox once crushed a Spartan helmet with his bare hand." "Well, Atriox isn't here." Horvath paused thoughtfully. "In fact, I'm betting he's probably good and dead by now." Gorian went still, then pointed the mauled crane wing at him. "Careful with your words, demon." Ah, he'd hit a nerve. Naturally, he had to do it again. "The banished will never take the ring." An amused grunt issued from deep within Gorian's throat. He polished off the wing, juice and fat sticking to the fur on his chin, and then wrenched open the bird's chest, biting into one side. "There are more of us here than there are of you. More weapons, more ships, and soon we will control not only the ring, but the—" Now that caught his attention. What else was there? What were the banished up to? Gorian laughed slowly. "You humans have been here for years, studying with your feeble minds, and yet you know nothing about what this ring is capable of or what it holds." "And you do? Why else would we be here?" Not exactly a giant revelation, but Horvath was starting to think it might have something to do with the artifacts the banished were so interested in. "So what's the end game, then? You take control of the ring and whatever else is here. And then what? Do you even know why you're fighting? War. He ripped off a giant chunk of meat. It is the lifeblood that feeds the Jiralhanai soul. There need be no other reason than that. He took a moment to study his opponent. You think you are different? Is it not your lifeblood as well? What would you do without war, Spartan? Who would you be? He grunted and went back to eating. Nothing. Nothing at all. The fire spat sparks into the sky. Horvath watched them rise, mulling over Gorian's words, when a chunk of bird meat hit his Mjolnir armor with a splat and slid down to his lap. What the hell? His curse counter dinged as he picked the meat up between two fingers. Gorian's smug laugh was low and deep. We still have a truce, Spartan. All warriors must eat. When I do kill you, it will be a fair fight. It won't be because you are weakened by hunger. The bird was rare in the middle and turned his stomach. Immediately he flung it back at the brute, smacking him square in the mouth. A wide grin split Horvath's face, and laughter bubbled from his own throat, loud and clear via his helmet speaker. Go chew on that, asshole. Gorian flung it to the ground and leapt to his feet. Horvath responded with a very satisfied and lengthy sigh. Merry Christmas. I know not what you speak of, this merriment. You wouldn't, Horvath muttered. Gorian returned to his seat and regarded the Spartan quietly before saying, Long before the Great Immolation, in Jiralhanai prehistory, females were tasked with raising and training the fearsome catechol war beasts, with killing the mother and raising the pups, allowing them to sleep in their beds, nurse at their breasts, to bite and nip at their heels, and fight with their own offspring. They yapped and yapped, fierce, but small and stupid for many, many years, so that no male Jiralhanai could bear to dwell in the settlements while the pups were there. Gorian chuckled softly, then leveled a dark stare across the gloomy campsite. You are such a pup. Horvath snorted. And here I thought brutes didn't have a sense of humor. Gorian continued his meal, evidently too hungry to be bothered by the Spartan's response. Horvath let the silence sit for a moment as the restless feeling from earlier suddenly re-emerged. Gazing at the night sky, he wondered what his team might be doing at that very moment. So what happened to the pups after those many, many years? They grew to maturity and became legend. That's what I thought.